Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. It's Fatima here, and I'm thrilled to take you on an incredible journey through the series of Heavenly Children. You remember, we have already read the first book of these series. In this special book, we'll get to know a courageous and wise hero, Hazrat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He's the first Imam in the Shia sect. His life is brimming with exciting stories and valuable lessons. Are you ready to open this book and step into the world of Imam Ali alayhi salam? The sun was setting over the city of Mecca as the noble prophet, peace be upon him, entered Islam. His body was covered with cuts and bruises, and blood was dripping from his forehead. The Prophet, peace be upon him, went out to the backyard and used a clay jug of water to wash the bloody wounds on his face. As soon as Imam Ali alayhi salam heard the Prophet, peace be upon him, enter the home, he eagerly ran outside to greet him. His happiness soon faded when he saw what had happened to the Prophet, peace be upon him. Imam Ali alayhi salam quickly ran back inside to bring a towel for the Prophet, peace be upon him, to dry off with. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, wiped his face, he could see that the young Imam was alarmed and upset to see him in this condition. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave Imam Ali a reassuring smile. Still, Imam Ali let out a sad sigh. He knew exactly what had happened. The enemies of Islam had hurt his beloved Prophet once again. The Prophet's enemies had instructed their children to bother the Prophet, peace be upon him, as much as they could. Every time Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would step outside, the children would gather in groups, throw stones, and make fun of him. They did not understand who the Prophet was or what his mission was. They just followed what the misguided people told them to do. Ever since the Prophet's uncle Abu Talib had passed away, no one had been able to protect the Prophet, peace be upon him. It had been Abu Talib who had kept the Prophet safe from the enemies of Allah. Abu Talib was a respected elder in Mecca, so while he was alive, nobody dared to hurt the Prophet, peace be upon him. Now Abu Talib was not there. Imam Ali wished that he could be just like his father Abu Talib and keep the Prophet safe from any harm. Seeing the Prophet in so much pain made Imam Ali's heart ache. How could the people do this to the best of Allah's creation and the kindest of human beings? As he glanced at the Prophet's face, Imam Ali alayhi salam could see the sadness in his eyes. He had to do something. Slowly he asked, "Dear Rasulullah, can you please take me with you the next time you decide to leave the house?" The Prophet, peace be upon him, smiled and lovingly placed his hands on Imam Ali's shoulder. He nodded in agreement. "Okay, my beloved." Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was very proud of Imam Ali. Even though he was just a young boy, he was as brave as a warrior. As night fell, Imam Ali lay in bed, but he could not sleep. He sat up. He kept thinking about the pain and sadness he had seen in the Prophet's eyes that day. How could the enemies torture his beloved Prophet? Everyone knew how kind and trustworthy the Prophet was. In that very moment, he made a decision. He would never let anyone harm the Prophet ever again. Only after making this promise, he was able to fall peacefully asleep. The next morning, as the noble Prophet, peace be upon him, got ready to go out for the day, he found Imam Ali alayhi salam waiting for him. Dressed and ready to go, the Prophet, peace be upon him, gazed at Imam Ali in awe. This young boy was only 10 years old, but he looked much stronger and bigger than his age, and his eyes were full of courage. Looking at Imam Ali alayhi salam, gave Muhammad, peace be upon him, an extra boost of strength. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, left his home, Imam Ali alayhi salam walked right next to him, keeping a watchful eye. It was not long before they came across a group of kids playing in the streets. One of the boys saw Muhammad, peace be upon him, and teased, "Oh look, it's Muhammad." The other kids began to chime in, "Crazy, crazy, crazy, crazy." The Prophet, peace be upon him, and Imam Ali kept walking, but as they got closer, the children started yelling louder and picking up stones. One boy gripped a stone in his fingers and lifted his hand back, poised to throw, but just as he pitched forward to throw the rock, a firm hand grasped his wrist, twisting his arm and forcing him to unclench his fingers. The stone fell to the ground. Shocked, the boy looked up and saw that it was the young Imam Ali alayhi salam. His face quivered with fear. As the boy stumbled back, Imam Ali alayhi salam bolted towards the rest of the children, who had not noticed this young challenger in their midst. They were still yelling and gathering stones to pelt at the noble Prophet, peace upon him. Imam Ali alayhi salam tackled them all. He was able to wrestle the stones away from every kid. Soon they were all on the ground, sobbing and moaning. Imam Ali alayhi salam boldly asked them, "Anybody else want to throw rocks?" The children quickly stood up, shaking their heads in fear. They were so scared they ran back to their homes without another glance. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had continued walking, so the young Imam alayhi salam dusted off his clothes and raced up to catch up with him. As he reached the Prophet, peace be upon him, Imam Ali alayhi salam grabbed the Prophet's hand and kissed it. Hand in hand, they continued walking. From that day forward, Imam Ali alayhi salam tried his best to never leave the Prophet's side. Every day, the children of Mecca would see Imam Ali alayhi salam walking alongside the Prophet, peace be upon him. Yet, each and every day, all they could do was look at them silently because they no longer dared to even shout at the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him. Wow, what an incredible adventure we've had with Imam Ali alayhi salam. As we bid farewell to this amazing book, remember the lessons of bravery, kindness, and wisdom that he has taught to us. Until our next adventure, continue being awesome and sharing these inspiring stories with your friends. Good night and see you soon.